I don't know how many people have worked night security in a place so empty that you can hear your own bones shift, but if you have, then you might understand why I almost quit on the first night something answered me in the dark. Not called out, not whispered, answered. This story was sent in by Marcus Hale from Billings, Montana. I had taken the job because the pay was ridiculous for something as simple as walking patrols and monitoring camera feeds. The facility was a massive distribution center on the edge of town, hundreds of thousands of square feet of empty aisles, metal racking that stretched into the shadows, and loading docks that were big enough to swallow a semi-truck without anyone noticing. The company had shut down operations for the season, and my job was to keep an eye on the building until the next cycle. The first week was silent, dead silent. Nothing but the hum of old fluorescent lights and the groan of metal expanding in the cold. I tried keeping myself busy, pacing the long warehouse lanes, tapping pallets with my flashlight just to hear something other than my own footsteps. But on the 8th night, the place changed. It started small, Category B weird incident. An automated system malfunction. The overhead lights flickered while I was reviewing camera feeds in the security office. The monitors glitched, loaded, then switched to all black before slowly resolving back into view. At first I chalked it up to old wiring or the building sinking into its bones in the off-season, but then something else happened. The camera in aisle 14, one I knew damn well hadn't moved in years, suddenly panned on its own. Smooth, controlled, like someone was manually operating it. I leaned closer. The camera focused on the far end of the aisle where the lights barely reached. Between the shadows, just for a second, I saw what looked like a person standing completely still. I immediately grabbed my radio and keyed up the mic, but all I got was static. Figures, another malfunction, or so I thought. I went out to check the aisle, expecting maybe a trespasser. Some homeless guy sneaking in for warmth. But when I arrived, the aisle was empty. The air felt wrong, though, heavy, pressured, like the whole building was holding its breath. I tried to shake it off. On my way back to the office, the lights shut off, entirely, all at once. The emergency lights clicked on a moment later, bathing the warehouse in deep red. I swore under my breath, holding my flashlight out in front of me, turning slow circles. Then something answered the sound of my boots scraping the floor. 3 footsteps, slow, deliberate, from behind a pallet stack. I called out, "Hello, you can come out, I'm security." Silence. Then a reply from somewhere in the red haze. "Are you?" I froze. The voice was wrong. Not metallic, not robotic, not like a speaker glitching. It was a man's voice, but flattened, hollow, like someone trying to copy the tone of a human being without understanding how sentences work. I backed away, my flashlight trembling in my hand. If you're enjoying these true horror stories, make sure to subscribe to Ultra Spooky and hit that notification bell so you never miss when we upload new nightmares. The voice repeated the line, the promotional line, my voice, my exact tone, my exact pacing, replayed from the empty aisle like a mocking echo. I hadn't said that aloud tonight, not even once. I didn't wait to investigate. I ran straight to the security office to check the recordings, but the monitors were cycling again, glitching like they were trying to load corrupted files. The screen for aisle 14 cut to a frozen frame. It showed the racks and pallets. But something off in the corner distorted the pixels. A mass of black static in the shape of a man. A distortion that shouldn't have been there. Every camera began flipping through feeds like something was cycling them at random. Aisle 7, loading dock, 3, hallway 2, aisle 10, break room, and then aisle 14 again. But now the static figure was closer. I grabbed the keys and bolted for the exit. But when I reached the metal door, it didn't budge. I turned the key. Nothing. I tried the emergency bar. Nothing. All the locks clicked at once behind the walls. Heavy. Automated. The building had sealed itself. I forced myself to breathe, thinking about the layout. There were side doors, dock doors, rooftop access, emergency hatches. But I also knew, deep down somehow, that every single one of them would be locked. I turned back toward the warehouse. The red emergency lights cast long, warped shadows across the concrete. My own shadow stretched behind me like it was trying to crawl away. Then one of the shadows moved. Not mine, not anyone's. It moved with purpose, slipping behind a pallet stack like a silhouette trying not to be seen. I whispered, "What the hell are you?" It answered again, copying my whisper perfectly. "What the hell are you?" My stomach dropped. Uncanny mimicry, subtle supernatural, threat type identified. I stepped backward as the shadow slid along the floor toward me, not growing, not shrinking, just moving like a spill of ink. I sprinted into the main lanes of the warehouse, weaving through rows of shelving, forcing myself not to look behind me. The footsteps followed, not perfectly, not humanly. They tapped, paused, clicked, dragged. Like the thing was trying different patterns to figure out what footsteps were supposed to sound like. When I reached the mechanical lift area, I climbed the metal stairs to the upper mezzanine. The height gave me a view of nearly the entire warehouse. That was a mistake, because from up there, I saw that the shadow wasn't alone. There were dozens. Thin, black, two-dimensional silhouettes emerging from under the racks, peeling themselves off the walls, sliding out of corners where no shadows should have been. They moved with the same unnatural jerkiness, like frames being skipped in a video, all of them gliding toward the stairs. I ran. The mezzanine walkway shook beneath me as I reached the far exit door. I slammed into it with my shoulder and miraculously it opened. I pulled myself into the small auxiliary electrical room and slammed it shut. It was pitch black except for the faint green glow of breaker switches. I held my breath. Then a soft scratching sound came from the other side of the door. Not knocking, scratching, testing, feeling the shape of the door. Then a voice whispered, "Are you in there?" My exact voice again. I backed away slowly, not daring to make a sound. The scratching grew louder, then stopped. Silence. When I finally gathered the courage to open the door, the warehouse floor was empty. The red lights had returned to normal white lighting. The shadows were normal. Nothing moved. Every lock in the building clicked open at once. I walked out into the cold Montana night and never returned to that building again. I quit over the phone before I even got home. A week later, however, the company asked me to return to sign some paperwork. I refused. They emailed me the documents instead, along with something else. A short video clip from the night I left. It showed the mezzanine camera angle, the exact moment I ducked into the electrical room. But the clip didn't focus on me. It focused on something stepping out from under the mezzanine stairs. A silhouette, not a shadow, a shape, a thing. But worst of all, it wasn't mimicking me in that moment. It was standing upright, its head scanning the empty warehouse like it was searching for a new shape to copy. A new person to mimic, and for a split second before the video ended, it turned its flat, featureless face toward the camera, toward me, and tilted its head exactly the way I tilt mine when I'm confused. It had studied me. It had learned me, and the warehouse is still empty. This was just one of many terrifying true stories from the ultra-spooky archives. Stay tuned for our next tale of horror.